Well, there was good news yesterday when the latest data showed the UK avoided recession by a whisker last year. But does the UK still have a problem with attracting and retaining investment?
Yeah, all this, of course, coming off the back of the news that the huge pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca has chosen Ireland over the UK for its new £320 million factory. It's blaming things like corporation tax in the UK. Now, the CBI is calling for lower taxes. Is it time the Chancellor scrapped that planned hike in corporation tax in the next budget?
Well, we're joined by business and finance commentator Michael Wilson. Good morning to you, Michael. What do you make of this decision then by AstraZeneca to move to Ireland?
AstraZeneca, as Stephen said, is not an inconsiderable company. It's the second largest on the FTSE 100. It has about 8,000 people employed in the UK, and it has about 83,000 employed throughout the world. And it basically what it's doing is it's joining the narrative that a lot of large companies are actually saying right now, that it's about time that the UK got back in the game, really, trying to attract investment. It's going to raise corporation tax in the next budget from 19 to 25%, which is not going to attract new business. And whether you think business is good or bad, it does tend to be fairly fleet-footed when it comes to looking at environments it wants to go to. And AstraZeneca is the latest. It was pretty ironic, actually. Apparently last week, the government hosted a sort of mini summit between the likes of Nestle, Nissan, HSBC, Airbus, and so on. All these people who run these companies are not stupid. They know where they need to go in the world, and they obviously want to go to the place which is supplying the best kind of business environment. Now, the only way to get taxes and to get tax income is to encourage private business. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It may be shifted around, but there is no money tree. And the only way in which a country like the UK, which needs tax income desperately, it will get this is by attracting a large business. I don't think this, for the record, I don't think this is going to change Jeremy Hunt's mind. I think he's already more or less decided where the budget's going on March the 15th, and this just merely adds to the litany. And you're going to hear a lot more companies actually joining in with this as well. And this also comes on the tails of the CBI. The so-called bosses organisation, which is asking for some kind of industrial strategy in the UK, which it doesn't have at the moment. I'd not normally be a fan of the dead hand of government, but I do feel at the moment, and I think most large businesses do, that it's time for the UK, as it were, to get back in the game. This has been an enormous snub.
See, what I can't get my head around, Michael, is it doesn't seem to make any sense from an economic point of view. Because, I mean, there's been all this talk, there's been talk over recent weeks coming out of Downing Street about the focus on growth. Well, if you want growth, you say you've got to have businesses here. And it's not just the big businesses, is it? The SMEs, which are meant to be the sort of lifeblood of our economy, well, they're not going to move to Ireland. They're just going to go out of business.
They are. I think that's a very good point, actually, and quite right to identify SMEs as being 90% of the workforce, actually, or at least employing 90% of the workforce. And they are, as you quite rightly say, they can't just say, "Oh, we're going to shift our headquarters out of the UK," because they are where they are, and they support a local community. I do feel as though business and government are once again going very, very different ways. And the only way to get growth, and we haven't even started to talk about the big word, which is productivity, which this country always lacks. That simply is not going to happen. And I think, as one of your previous guests was saying this morning, the government appears to be playing a waiting game as far as public sector pay awards are concerned. What it needs to do, I mean, it could obviously do what it likes, but this is the kind of area in which it needs to encourage investment in the UK for all the reasons you've just said.